This is not the boy for you.
How could someone so wrong?
Find out where he lives.
He's not a rich white drunk.
From the producer of 90210 and Malibu Shores.
Rewatching the pilot of Malibu Shores immediately puts you in a very specific time capsule. And I mean very specific. You don't ease into this era, you get dropped right into it. And the first thing that hits you is the music. You've got tracks like The Cranberries setting the emotional tone almost immediately, which is already doing a lot of heavy lifting for a pilot episode that is also trying to introduce class warfare, romance, and mild chaos all at once. And then there's songs like It's a Beautiful Life, which just instantly locks you into that mid-90s optimism that somehow always coexisted with teen drama misery. It's that very specific kind of 90s TV energy where everything feels like it matters deeply, even when what's happening is just two teenagers arguing on a beach. Like, this show really wants you to believe a beach disagreement is emotionally equivalent to a Shakespearean tragedy. And honestly, it kind of commits to it. And if you enjoy these kinds of nostalgic deep dives into old TV shows that age somewhere between iconic and what were they thinking, go ahead and hit like and subscribe. It helps out the channel, and it also tells me I'm not the only one still thinking about forgotten 90s teen drama chaos. All right, back to Malibu Shores. There's this glossy, sun-drenched aesthetic where everyone is either having the best day of their life or having an emotional breakdown within 90 seconds. There is no in between. And that's what makes it feel such a time capsule, not just of fashion or music, but of a very specific kind of teen storytelling where everything is slightly exaggerated, slightly heightened, and just self-serious enough that you don't laugh at it, but you probably smile a little anyway. It's not realism, it's mood, and very, very 90s mood at that. The pilot of Malibu Shores opens exactly how you'd expect a mid-90s teen drama produced by Aaron Spelling to open, with attractive teenagers doing something vaguely active while the world quietly prepares to emotionally implode around them. We start in the valley, with Zach and his friends skating around, fully locked into that classic, we're young and invincible energy. That illusion immediately gets interrupted by a security guard who used to be a skater himself, but quit because he wasn't going to be the best skater. So instead of continuing any form of skating-related ambition, he becomes mall security, which honestly sets up the show's philosophy pretty early. If you're not at the top of your world, just pivot into a completely different life path and emotionally stagnate there. Zach's response to all of this is equally dramatic in a very 90s teen TV way. He basically declares he never wants to get old, which is less a character moment and more the writers screaming theme directly into the script. From there, we shift to the beach, where the actual premise of the show kicks in. Class warfare disguised as summer leisure. On one side, you've got the Malibu crowd, wealthy, polished, and fully convinced the beach is an extension of their personal space. On the other, you've got Zach and his friends from the valley, who show up like, we are also here, emotionally and geographically. And immediately, the beach becomes a territorial dispute that nobody formally agreed to, but everyone is participating in anyway. This is very much the core DNA of the show. Two groups, one coastline, zero emotional regulation. Things escalate quickly into a confrontation, and what starts as teen social tension turns into full chaos. And then, because this show is allergic to subtle escalation, one of the Malibu kids pulls a knife. Not a symbolic knife, not a dramatic gesture knife, a full-on, completely unnecessary, why is this at a beach party knife? Zach disarms him because apparently he is also the action protagonist of this universe, now, and then everything immediately collapses into a group fight anyway. By the time the police arrive, the show makes a very bold narrative decision. Zach gets arrested. Because in Malibu Shores logic, whoever's still standing when authority shows up is probably guilty of something. Meanwhile, the pilot is also juggling a full emotional soap opera underneath the chaos. Zach meets Chloe at the beach, played with that very classic "this is destiny and we just met but don't question it" energy, and instantly there's a connection. It's very romantic, very heightened, and very much in line with the show's commitment to treating every interaction like it could alter the course of history. Around them, everything else is spiraling. Josh is running on pure emotional volatility, reacting to football suspension like it's a constitutional crisis. Side characters are entangled in messy relationship overlaps that resolve themselves almost as quickly as they form. And everyone is making decisions at emotional maximum volume with zero reflection time. Then there's Tim, whose storyline escalates to the point where he burns down his own house due to emotional neglect and family dysfunction. And instead of that being the end of his arc, it somehow gets folded into a rapid-fire forgiveness storyline where everything is emotionally resolved almost immediately after it happens. Because this show does not believe in lingering consequences. It believes in emotional throughput. By the end of the episode, everything somehow wraps itself into a neat bow of romantic development, interpersonal resolution, and chaos cleanup that feels slightly too efficient for everything we just watched. And then comes the real hook. An earthquake hits. The Valley School is destroyed, and Zach and his friends are relocated to the Malibu High School, forcing both social worlds into the same space, whether they like it or not. Which is where the real series concept finally locks in. What if we just forcibly mixed two completely different social ecosystems and let it run? And honestly, that's the show in its purest form. Sun-soaked, emotionally chaotic, slightly unhinged, but fully committed to the idea that teenage life is basically non-stop high-stakes drama happening in designer swimwear. Once you get past the mood setting, Malibu Shores very quickly reveals what it actually wants to be about, and that's class tension. But not subtle class tension, more like sunburned class tension with dramatic lighting. On one side, you've got the Valley kids, Zach and his friends, who feel like they're constantly one bad day away from getting kicked out of wherever they happen to be standing. And on the other side, you've got the Malibu crowd, who treat the beach like it comes with assigned seating and emotional entitlement. Like the ocean is just part of their HOA agreement. The setup is very clearly inspired by that classic teen drama structure you see in shows like Beverly Hills 90210. The outsider characters being dropped into a world of wealth, status, and social rules they don't really belong to. But what's interesting here is how immediate the friction is. There's no slow burn, there's no long adjustment period. It's basically, you're here, they don't like you, go. And the beach becomes this weird social battleground where even just existing in the wrong spot feels like a political statement. Which is honestly kind of impressive for what is also, at its core, a show about teenagers trying to hang out outside. But that's the tone it commits to. Everything is amplified, everything is a conflict. Even relaxation feels like it might escalate into a subplot. And that's where you start to realize this isn't just a teen drama about relationships or school life, it's a pressure cooker disguised as a beach day. So once the class tension is established, Malibu Shores does not gradually escalate things. It just jumps. Because the beach conflict doesn't stay as passive-aggressive social positioning for long. It turns into a full-on confrontation. One of the most interesting things about rewatching Malibu Shores now is realizing just how many familiar faces are in it, even if you didn't fully register them at the time. Because this is very much one of those shows where later you go, wait, I know you from somewhere, and suddenly the whole thing becomes this weird kind of pre-fame snapshot. You've got Charisma Carpenter in a role that feels like she's already dialing in the kind of energy she'd later fully embody in other teen drama work. There's this sharpness to her character that feels like a prototype, like you're watching someone test drive what would eventually become a much more iconic persona in the genre. It's almost like watching a blueprint before the finished building shows up a year later. Then you've got Essence Atkins, and what stands out there is just how odd it feels on a rewatch to see someone you now associate with a fully established career in something that feels so early and unassuming. It creates this weird layered nostalgia where you're not just watching the character, you're also watching the future version of the actor forming in the background. And then there's Walter Emanuel Jones. He's interesting here because he brings a grounded presence into a show that is otherwise operating at a very high emotional volume. There are these small moments where his reactions almost feel like, why is everyone behaving like this?
Man, what you doing?
Which honestly is a very reasonable question for most of this pilot. And that kind of contrast actually helps ground the chaos in a way that makes his scene stand out more than you expect. Because in a show where everyone is constantly reacting at a 10, the person who reacts like a normal human suddenly becomes the most relatable character in the scene. If there's one thing Malibu Shores does consistently well in its pilot, it's how fast it moves through emotional extremes. Nothing simmers, nothing builds slowly, everything just happens at full volume. You'll have a romantic setup, a friendship conflict, and a life-altering misunderstanding all happening within what feels like a single afternoon. And one of the clearest examples of that is Josh. Josh is basically pure emotional escalation in human form. If something mildly inconveniences him, he responds like it's a direct attack on his entire identity. There's no processing phase, there's just reaction. He storms off, he lashes out, he makes impulsive decisions, like throwing rocks at a car and driving away like he just completed an important mission. It's very much, I have felt a feeling and now everyone must witness it. Meanwhile, other storylines are happening at the same time that feel like they belong in entirely different shows. You've got romance forming almost instantly between Zach and Chloe, with all the classic, I barely know you, but I'm deeply drawn to you energy that teen dramas love. Then you've got side characters spiraling into relationship chaos, misunderstandings stacking on top of each other, and social drama that escalates for reasons nobody fully explains out loud. And somehow, all of this is treated with complete sincerity, even when it's chaotic, even when it's slightly absurd, especially when it's slightly absurd. And watching it back, you can see why it's stuck in your memory, even if it didn't stick around on air for very long. It wasn't trying to be subtle. It wasn't trying to be restrained. It was trying to be felt. And as a kid watching it back then, you don't think about network strategy or scheduling or whether something is built to last. You just think, where did my show go? And that confusion becomes part of the nostalgia too. So yeah, revisiting Malibu Shores is less about rediscovering a forgotten masterpiece and more about realizing how many of these chaotic little teen dramas were basically emotional experiments dressed up as beach TV. And honestly, I kind of respect it for that. And if you made it all the way through this revisit of Malibu Shores and you're still here, first of all, respect. And second, if you're enjoying these retrospective dives into forgotten or semi-forgotten TV shows, go ahead and like the video and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow, and it also lets me know what shows are worth digging back into next.